let me go over that last section again. Then let me go over Revelation 18, some scriptures there. Then we'll wrap this up here because I've overkill my point big time. And anyone who's heard the first two parts and they've stopped it because at times I had to read fast, they know that I'm right. So again, there's wisdom is proved right by her deeds, right? What is the wise thing to do? Is it to keep breeding? Luke 23 makes it clear that it's not. Paul's letters, he said he'd rather people not reproduce. Okay? What is the point of reproducing? When the end comes, and so many people are talking about the end is near, why would you reproduce? Okay? Christ cites that as a character in the story. He says in Matthew 24, when the flood was coming, okay, many people were eating and drinking and being married and being given in marriage. He said they were dumb. They did not know the flood was coming. That's why they were getting married and having kids and stuff like that. Okay, this is key here. This is key. Because the people here who are having kids especially, okay, who aren't obeying God through me, are going to hell. So again, Matthew 11, the section about unrepentant towns, woe to unrepentant towns, verse 20. Right after it says wisdom is proved right by her deeds, people are damned by their deeds as well, is what it's saying. Then Jesus began to denounce the towns in which most of his miracles had been performed because they did not repent. And again, his miracles are figurative, just like the water in Revelation is figurative. The water in Genesis is figurative. God is hovering over the waters figuratively. In Revelation, okay, it's flat out says in Revelation 17 that the waters that the prostitute sits by, okay, are figurative. They're peoples, nations, multitudes, and languages. Okay, in Proverbs, in the Lord's hand, the king's heart is a stream of water that he channels to all who please him. Okay, the water, okay, he says, it stands for the water of life. It can stand for the water of affliction. In Isaiah, righteousness, well-being, etc. The flood is figurative. There's no scientific evidence of the flood. And if those people who are fundamentalists in that way, and they count the years, okay, there's no evidence of a flood, 6,000, 8,000 years ago, whatever madness they're talking about, that didn't occur. Okay? There's so many archaeological facts that prove that there wasn't a flood that covered the world, okay, 8,000, 6,000 years ago. They're wrong about that. It's figurative. Woe to unrepentant towns. Then Jesus began to denounce the towns in which most of his miracles had been performed because they did not repent, like I just read earlier. Woe to you, Chorazin. Woe to you, Bethsaida. For if the miracles that were performed in you had been performed in Tyre and Sidon, then they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I tell you, it will be more bearable for Tyre and Sidon on the day of judgment than for you. And I've quoted this many times before, and I said, woe to you, America, Santa Clara County, California, San Jose, Morgan Hill, Gilroy, what have you. Okay, because here's the top martial artist ever here, and your attractive women shun me, and your society, your communities won't rally to me, but they come together to harass me to some degree. And I don't know how much people know about what's going on here, but a lot of people here do know what's going on here. Okay, I know that. And a lot of people who live here do know what's going on here. But I tell you, it will be more bearable for Tyre and Sidon on that day of judgment than for you. If you can handle it, the word Tyre connects to the word martyr, and also Tyr, who's a deity, okay, Mars and Tyr. Mars from Rome, the Nordic deity Tyr. And Sidon, the Bible tells us in Genesis 41:45 in the footnotes, stands for Heliopolis, Ra's cult center, where the daughter of Potipharah, Asana, the high priestess of Ra, high priestess of On of Heliopolis, was given to Joseph in marriage. Okay, there's a lot of connections there. And to make a long story short, it's those people who reject God's Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order, those people who reject the potent spirit of God that's symbolized by the sun, Malachi, Psalm 19, the root and offspring of David, and the bright morning star, right? The sun first and foremost. If he's citing the bright morning star, he's either citing the sun, which is what he's citing if you put it in proper, you connect the dots properly, or he's citing the morning star that comes up right before the sun, which Satanists and pagans called, Venus and Phosphorus and Lucifer. Okay? He's not citing Lucifer. If you interpret it that way, you're a Luciferian. But either way, the sun is a more potent symbol of God. It says right there in Psalm 19. Okay. And he even calls it the bridegroom and champion. That is a symbol of the bridegroom and the champion. And you, Capernaum, will you be lifted to the heavens? No, you will go down to Hades. For if the miracles that were performed in you had been performed in Sodom, it would have remained to this day. Okay, so these places aren't remaining to this day as groups. Okay, and the people who reproduce, their offspring who reproduce and come up in those cultures, are going down to Hades. What do you think the plan for the world is as a planet when Babylon takes over the planet? And Revelation says Satan leads the whole world astray, and it says all the nations will mourn when Christ returns. All the nations. Okay, and Isaiah 24 and Isaiah 34 says all the nations, the whole world falls never to rise again. It's made a wasteland. Okay, they stretch out the plume line and the measuring line of chaos and desolation over it. Okay, Revelation 18. I have 10% on my phone, so let me just shoot through this and try to get this done earlier. After this, lament over fallen Babylon. After this, I saw another angel coming down from heaven. He had great authority, and the earth was illuminated by his splendor. Right? This is not a fairy here. This is an angel with great authority. With a mighty voice he shouted, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling place for demons, and a haunt for every impure spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every detestable animal, for all the nations, say it with me, all the nations have drunk the maddening wine of her adulteries. The kings of the earth committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich for excessive luxury." You see all these corporations, all the churches, mosques, synagogues, they all sold out, and they sold out to corporations, the corporate state, the merchants, the kings, the leaders, what have you. And the next section says, warning to escape Babylon's judgment. Then I heard another voice from heaven say, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues." It says, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so you will not receive any of her plagues. So the earth is transforming, right, into hell. That's what all the bowls and the trumpets and the seals in Revelation are about, right? The punishments. They're changing the earth by pouring bowls of God's wrath on the land, on the water, on the seas, on the springs of water, on the people, right? And it's plunged into darkness, right, on the throne of the beast. Okay, it's transforming the earth. Transform. And they're doing spells and they're doing pagan witchcraft, and that's why it says the hunt for demons and in impure spirits, right? The spirits of paganism and the Greco-Roman deities and things like this. Okay. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her crimes. So some people, they play stupid about my argument of the gay spirit. They act like gay spirits don't exist, but they say that, that their school spirit does exist. It's like, huh? Are you from the same planet I am? Okay, they act like gay energy doesn't exist, but they have no problem with martial artists talking about their moving energy. And they don't have no problem talking about scientists are right about light energy and heat energy and kinetic energy and potential energy. Okay, it's like, what planet are you from that you think that the electrical activity in the brain, okay, has no spiritual significance, for example, and that it, it doesn't affect the energy in the body, right? It's like, duh, your brain kind of gets you to be high energy or low energy, right? You get excitation in the brain and so on and so forth. Okay, so people play stupid about this. But yes, there's gay energy, and it's connected to those false depictions of angels. And there's a bunch of conservatives who worship the devil, who drive pickup trucks and, yes, I used to be in the military, or whatever, and try to act like a man and try to act, they try to act like a toxic, satanic, red-colored conservative party, okay? Red being the color of the devil, principles of evil, the color of hell in popular culture. That's red for a reason. It's color-coded. It's a cult, right? And I'm not saying the left is good. All political parties right now are evil, okay? They try to take advantage of that, why this massive wave of leftists who reach out more to the minorities of the world turns them into more fairy-like people, okay? And they say, we're just trying to make everyone fairies. I mean, they've admitted to me that that's what they're doing time and time again, so many times. I've had so many gays in my lifetime admit it to me straight up, and then so many more admit it by their actions, right? It is clear cut. It's even called clear cut. Who understands that more than the top martial artists, who could fight the best, especially with swords and daggers and knives and machetes and so on and so forth, cutlasses and what have you. So it's clear cut. And they worship the devil.